I'm Casey Claiborne, and thanks for watching this CrimeWatch YouTube exclusive, where we're taking a look at some of the most talked about crime stories this week around Texas. We start in Southeast Austin, where gun violence is filling the streets of one neighborhood and drive-by shootings have left bullet holes behind in several homes. This is off East William Cannon Drive. Neighbors say these shootings happened in the last few months, some within days of each other, including one in broad daylight. Fox 7 Austin spoke with a dozen people in the neighborhood, all reluctant to be on camera in fear of retaliation. Neighbors are calling for help before someone gets really hurt.
How can people be intimidated and forced to live in a situation whereby their livelihoods, their lives, their children, their babies are put at risk?
They're all poor communities, but we poor people also want, we work 40 plus hours, we pay taxes. Why can't we get the help that we need on this side of town?
Neighbors say they want elected officials to come to their community, speak with victims, provide support, and increase police patrols. We continue in Southeast Austin, where an investigation is underway into a deadly officer-involved shooting near Montopolis and Riverside. Fox 7 Austin's Angela Shin has more on that story.
Everything should have been resolved in a better manner, in a better way.
Danny Granado says he's the brother of the man who was shot.
And I'm like, man, my brother's not built like that. He won't do nothing like that. Would he hurt anybody?
He says there were domestic issues with the mother of his children. Police say this all started when a 911 call came in about a disturbance and a man with a gun. When they got to the scene, they saw him walking in the streets.
The subject actually made the statement saying he would shoot himself if officers refused to shoot him. We brought all means to bear in this to try to de-escalate this situation.
First they used less lethal weapons, and then police say he reached for his gun in his waistband and a SWAT officer fired at him, killing him.
I should have went in there when it was save my little baby brother. I had 30 minutes to save my little baby brother. 30 minutes, y'all. Right, Mom? I begged and I begged and I asked her, please, man, only me, let me go talk to my brother. And then I told the officer, I said, man, somebody's going to be trigger happy and shoot my brother, and look what happened.
Chief Chacon says the circumstances are under investigation.
Sometimes it's not safe to allow family members into an active, ongoing police scene.
That's my little baby brother. He's going to listen to me. And I could go there and take, if he had anything, I could take that from him.
It's a tragedy. My heart certainly goes out to the family of the person involved, goes out to my officers who were involved. Because I don't want anyone to ever have to go through this.
The family says they just want to know exactly what happened.
If my brother raised that gun at somebody, at the officers, all right, we'll take care of your business. But if my brother did not do that, come on, man, let justice be served, man.
I've seen the video myself. The video will be released. The man was armed.
No one else involved in the incident was hurt. Police will release the video within 10 working days. And there's always help available 24/7 if you or anyone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide. You can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline on your screen, 1-800-273-TALK, or call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. A corporal with the Travis County Constable Office Precinct 1 is recovering after confronting a suspect breaking into his on-duty vehicle. The suspect was able to get away. Fox 7 Austin's Amanda Ruiz spoke with the constable of Precinct 1, who said it was a scary situation. She's glad the deputy involved is doing okay, because she said it could have been a lot worse since it's believed the suspect had a gun. Take a look.
So fortunate that this incident didn't take a worse turn.
Travis County Constable Tanya Nixon with Precinct 1 says one of her deputies suffered minor injuries after taking on a suspect who broke into his patrol car.
The corporal was sleeping and he heard what may sound like gunshots.
This all took place around 6 Thursday morning in North Austin. Constable Nixon says her deputy was awoken by the sound of gunfire. When he looked outside, he saw his patrol unit's door was open and someone was inside it.
The corporal proceeded to go downstairs. He engaged the suspect. A struggle took place.
The confrontation was brief. There was a struggle between the deputy and the suspect and a chase. But in the end, the suspect was able to get away and the deputy suffered minor injuries.
He's given us a few scrapes and bruises. At the time, we didn't know if his finger was broken or dislocated. It was confirmed to be dislocated, so he's resting now.
Constable Nixon says after the initial investigation, the damage to the patrol car points to the possibility that the suspect had a gun.
I have been told that it was confirmed that some shots were fired inside that vehicle. The suspect shot inside the unit causing the damage. Those are probably the gunshots that my deputy heard.
The deputy is expected to be out for a few days. Constable Nixon says how he responded goes back to their training.
I've only talked to him briefly to make sure he was okay, but we are trained not only when we're on duty, but because of the job that we've been doing for years when we're off duty, we're trained to handle situations to the best of our ability.
He was indicted on a capital murder charge in the brutal killing of a 26-year-old Round Rock man. Now, Anthony Davis could face as little as 5 years in prison for the crime. Fox 7 Austin's Shannon Ryan finds that as part of a plea deal, it appears he's being dropped down to first-degree murder, and the victim's family is not happy about that.
It's exactly what the Branham family told the Travis County District Attorney's Office they didn't want.
It's total re-victimization.
Thursday morning, it happened.
So they lied to us. There's only one way to put it. They lied to us. They didn't involve us in it.
Anthony Davis, one of 2 men charged with capital murder for killing their son and brother, Christopher Branham, accepted a plea deal, which criminal defense attorney and retired judge Charlie Baird, who's not affiliated with the case, says is standard.
When you have multiple defendants, the state will commonly make a deal with one of the defendants to testify against his cohorts.
Anthony will go on record about what happened the night Chris was killed and, if necessary, testify against others involved. If the district attorney's office feels his information is credible, his capital murder charge will be dropped to first-degree murder, and the DA's office will suggest a sentence of 14 years in prison, though the judge could hand him a sentence ranging from 5 to 99 years.
It's like a slap in the face, it really is, 14 years.
There are literally people in jail for longer than that for drug-related charges that haven't even killed anybody.
Christopher, a 26-year-old father of 2, was beaten unconscious in a recorded mob-style attack and robbery in Round Rock in June 2020, then driven to a cornfield near Manor where he was shot and killed. 2 men, one being Anthony, were charged with murder. 3 others were implicated in the attack and robbery. 1 was let off, another died after escaping from the Refuge, a state-run facility for juvenile sex trafficking survivors.
In our opinion, these parole hearings are so incredibly hard on victims' families because you literally have to relive everything every time you go to one of those hearings. I don't want to do that times 4. You know, I want long sentences to where I don't have to deal with that, like for a really, really long time.
To Lockhart now, where police have arrested 4 people in connection to a sexual assault at Children's Center of Lockhart, locally known as Connie's Kids. The father of one of the victims is speaking out, saying his daughter has been going to this daycare for years, and he never thought something like this would happen to her. The father says his 3-year-old daughter was sexually assaulted by a 13-year-old at Connie's Kids in Lockhart. He says he and his ex-wife found out from the daycare, not from the daycare, but by a Texas Department of Family Protective Services investigator. The father says they're relying on help from family now, and his daughter may never step foot into another daycare again.
You know, it's a terrifying thought, leaving my kids with anybody now. Just pain. It's a horrible feeling, not being able to protect your children.
The 4 people arrested are a 13-year-old male arrested for aggravated sexual assault of a child. His name is not being released. Connie Mendoza was arrested for tampering with a witness, obstruction, and failure to make a child abuse report with intent to conceal. Christine Amaya was arrested for failure to make a child abuse report with intent to conceal, and Rafael Santamaria was arrested for felony tampering with a witness. A Conroe man vanished on his way home from visiting family in Austin. More than 6 months have passed now, and his family still trying to get answers. Fox 7 Austin's Shannon Ryan has the latest.
Robert and Sandra Perez don't know where to look for their son, Tim.
Encampments, I use this one, but I'm getting ready to change it up.
Or what he may look like now, 6 months after his disappearance.
Because they said he may not, I'm sorry guys, I might just start crying. They said he may not have a beard now.
He might have cut his
So they want to see what his face actually looks like.
Yeah.
So they're traversing the state.
It's a big, huge state.
In Tim's own vehicle.
I just need eyes out there. Somebody had to have seen him.
And they're not ruling anybody out. Stopping at homeless encampments, even religious cults,
I've gone in the encampments and I even prayed with some of these homeless people, and it's sad because I mean they tell me, man, he goes, man, Tim is lucky to have a father to God be looking for him. But they tell me that they wish they had a dad like me. But you know, they sit there and pray with me.
Praying for a nightmare.
I've gone to so many homeless sites, I mean, here in Austin, and you see people just wandering around, and they look like they're not even thinking. Whether they're zombies, is my son out there like that? I don't want him to be, but it happens to people.
It's now their best case scenario.
I pray that I hope he's still alive and wants to survive and live, you know.
On March 4th, Tim, then 31, drove from his hometown Conroe to Austin to visit his brother. He was working, so the two weren't able to connect.
He said, can I come home, Mom? I said, yes, for sure. I don't even know why you're asking.
Robert and Sandra had a private investigator trace his next steps using cell phone data.
They showed him erratically just driving, going toward New Brownsville, coming back I-35. He was just circling the city. Whether I don't know what was going on in his mind, but
sometime around 12:30 Saturday morning, Tim called Robert.
Tim, I said, are you lost? He goes, yes, Dad. I said, you want me to come get you? He said, yes, and then
he said, yes, I'm lost, Dad. Come and get me.
He then told his brother he was going to come back and see him. That never happened. His car was abandoned, out of gas, and on the side of I-35 in Palmer. Later that morning, he was found here, 8 miles away at St. William Catholic Church in Round Rock.
There was not a lot of verbal communication. So at that point, we saw a very quiet, shut down individual.
Unable to make contact, staff called police.
Police have the social and the medical services that unfortunately we are not able to provide.
Round Rock police say Tim would not identify himself, so they gave him a criminal trespass warning at the request of the church. Tim left and was spotted at several other locations like this 7-Eleven and storage unit.
There was a interaction here, or just a little ways from the church, where he did say he was on a spiritual. This is Tim. He was on a spiritual journey.
Robert and Sandra say Tim had no documented history of mental illness, but had been feeling depressed. The Baylor graduate worked as a musician. COVID stole his work and his freedom. He was forced to move back in with his parents.
80% of missing adults, or adults that go missing, have some kind of mental illness. And that's a staggering number, 80%. So what happens to them? I mean, who's trying to find them?
Abel Pena is a retired FBI agent. He runs a nonprofit, Project Absentis, which helps reunite people like Robert and Sandra with their missing loved ones.
The only way that law enforcement can really be compelled to get involved is if they determine that, say, Tim, in this case, is a threat to himself, a threat to others, or that he poses some, like he's in some imminent danger, or he's breaking the law.
6 months later, Tim's case hasn't met that mark. So the Perez family continues chasing down leads, handing out flyers on their own, each with a handwritten note.
Find your way home. I don't care what's happened, what's gone on. We love you no matter what, and we want you home. We want to help you.
Yes.
You don't belong wherever you are.
Shannon Ryan, Fox 7 Austin News.
If you see Tim Perez or have any information about him, call your local police department or the nonprofit Texas EquiSearch at the numbers seen here on your screen. In Round Rock, caught on camera, a woman accused of intentionally running over her ex-boyfriend. The suspect has been arrested, but police still need your help. If you have any information about that case, call Round Rock Police or go to wilcocrimetips.org. Fox 7 Austin's Angela Shin has the details.
Surveillance video shows this car appearing to aim for a person walking near the Walmart at I-35 and State Highway 45. The driver, 24-year-old Andrea Estwick, was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
That's malicious. you know, to have no sense of, care for another life.
The victim was originally in critical condition but is now stable. Round Rock police say they want more eyewitnesses to help with the prosecution of the case. They're looking for more information about what happened before and after, and more video too. According to the affidavit, Estwick told police she accidentally ran over the victim. The suspect and victim were in a relationship and had decided to separate. On their way home after drinking in downtown Austin, she said her ex-boyfriend was hungry, so they turned into this gas station. She said he started to argue and he was drunk, got out of the car, and started to walk towards the frontage road. The paperwork says Estwick said she got back in her car to catch up with him and stop him from walking onto the road. She said as she got close, he stepped in front of the car and got hit by it. She said she got out to help him back into the car. The affidavit says Estwick didn't call 911 and instead drove home and called her mom, who in turn called EMS. She said she couldn't find her or the other person's phone and was, quote, too scared. The victim had severe injuries, including various fractures and displaced vertebrae. Police say the injuries don't match up with what Estwick described.
I don't care if you had an argument with somebody or not. It's just, dang, the morals, yeah. It's people, you got to be careful. You got to be careful what you say or what you do. You know, somebody turn around and think that, man.
Whether it was a relationship that went bad, I mean, I don't think that person had any right trying to kill. We always have to be aware of our surroundings.
And finally, a family in Polk County rescued an injured baby who was abandoned in their shed. Fox's Shelby Rose spoke with a woman about her quick thinking to save the child.
Yeah, 43-year-old Jason Gines is sitting in the Polk County Jail behind me on a $200,000 bond, accused of abandoning this baby early Saturday morning. Around 3 a.m., we're told Livingston police located a wrecked-out truck by some railroad tracks near Marsh Drive. The truck was empty, but they found a booster seat, a diaper, and some items of clothing on scene. Now, fast forward to 6 a.m. Catherine McLean was woken up to her neighbor's truck being stolen. They called it in and filed a report thinking that was the end of it. But just a couple hours later, McLean and her husband found a 9-month-old infant abandoned and injured inside their backyard shed. In that time, San Jacinto County Sheriff found that stolen truck with Gines behind the wheel, and it's believed the baby was injured during the crash along the train tracks. He carried it into McLean's shed, stole their neighbor's truck, and fled, leaving that infant behind.
When I seen her, I was like, oh my God, that's a little baby laying there. This guy, you know, which we had already seen him on surveillance, you know, so we knew he had been there, and it was like, did this guy kidnap this baby and just throw her in my shed, or what's wrong with the baby? Because she was just laying down there looking up. She wasn't crying.
And at this time, it's unclear if Gines is the father of that infant, but regardless, it was life-flighted to Texas Children's Hospital with a broken femur, but is expected to survive. Reporting in Polk County, Shelby Rose, Fox 26 News.
Thanks for watching this Fox 7 Austin Crime Watch. Our exclusive Crime Watch stories run each Monday on Fox 7 Austin News at 9. Again, to learn more about the stories featured today, look for the links below this video. You can also find more stories on our website, fox7austin.com, or subscribe to the Fox 7 Austin YouTube channel.